Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Alonso, your host of the Leaders Web podcast. Today, I have another back-to-back. I don't know how many episodes I've done with this gentleman. He's become one of my true great friends over the past few months. And Mr. Endre Hoffman, the doctor of self-worth. And my God, the first episode I did with him was one of the most powerful, truly, not just inspiring, not just empowering, but truly goosebump inducing. I'm still getting goosebump when I think about that story, that episode. So highly recommend you watch it. And I have him back today. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is quite familiar and something that I'm getting more and more curious myself, and also seeing how the world has been going on. It's a topic that more and more parents should seriously look into, that to basically ensure their kids are getting the proper education, not just a brainwashing. So today we're going to talk about homeschooling your children and the pros and cons, the challenges, and he's going to be basically sharing his story of homeschooling his children. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. That's something that we've been talking about for a while, and today here we are. So Endre, brother, welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much, Payman. I'm really appreciating that you're giving me the stage, because why is homeschooling? I think that's where I would want to start. And I
Before we
have come
start,
across.
sorry, before we start, give us we're gonna go deeper into that, but before we start, give us a quick overview, intro for people who don't know you. Who's Endre as a person, as a man, as a human being? So they understand
Okay,
what they're listening to, because they need to know that you're a truly powerful and enlightened man and soul. So let people know who you are. Don't be shy. Don't be humble.
thanks very much. So I'm known as the Doctor of Self-Worth, and I've been helping for the last 6 or 7 years people who are feeling struggles, getting stuck in emotions, or overwhelmed. Most of them are business owners. Some of them are moms, and will fall into the category of lack of confidence, lack of self-worth, not being able to have a voice. They are not heard. And these self-worth issues tend to play out in multiple areas of life. Usually it comes up as a relationship challenge. At times it's money. At times, in their business, and at the later stage, it will affect their health, because unfortunately the negative emotions will start to disrupt the body. And usually they reach out to me, and what's unique about me, I love life-changing, profound conversations. And usually it starts with a half an hour free. And then if they choose to work with me and I can help them, because that's a big one, then I guarantee my results, that they will transform, and then we'll start the journey of, helping them to multiply their impact in life and business and family and whatever they are into. Because I believe there is another version of you. There is your authentic self waiting in the future to, get effortless results. That's shortly me. And unfortunately, I had a 34-year struggle and trouble. Most of my life I was struggling with feelings of unworthiness and feeling of no confidence. So I'm done, and now I'm shortening the breakthroughs for people, so they wouldn't have to go through my terrible experiences in the last 30-40 years.
Oh, love that. And I can really relate to that, because I used to be painfully shy. The people that knew me from before, when they see me now, so what happened to you? Did you make a deal with the devil or something? You're all over the YouTube and Facebook. You look so confident. What happened to you? I said, no, I just found my voice, my purpose, my passion. And when you do that, you become a different person. So yeah, that's something that we can do an entire. Let's do this actually. I'm very serious. Let's do the next call just on that, sharing your story of how you, Andrew, you were able to overcome your shyness, and I can share mine, your low confidence, shyness, and all that, because that's something it can be called the silent killer, not just silent killer, but the silent killer of hopes and dreams, of opportunities, and not only just for men, but for men and women and children as well. That would be a beautiful conversation for the next episode. Let's do that, if you're okay with that, for the next call, to talk
Absolutely.
about that, because that's truly a transformational switch that you successfully overcame, I successfully overcame. I'm still sometimes seeing the ugly head of it sometime creeping up, but I'm able to overcome it. I'm not fully done, but I'm say 95% over it. But still, the 5% still in some, when I'm saying in a social event, I don't know people, I can feel like, a little bit hesitant to approach people. But then once they approach me, I'm like a dragon, you can't stop me, So yeah, let's do that next time. So beautiful. And
All right.
another,
In between, Lorenzo, maybe we'll have a look at this for you. So we'll clear that 5%. But what you brought up is the best line. Why homeschooling is a thing, and how come I have been coming across people who've been squashed. They have these feelings of unworthiness. They've been they've been told that they are not good enough. They won't be approved. My one was, going to amount to anything. And imagine you go through the school system, and I had terrible programming coming through the years. I remember that they said, if you don't get the good grades, you will sweep the streets. And it was for me a fact. I didn't even question it. I was a small child. And basically, I hated school because I had to learn things that I didn't care about, and I've never used ever since. Sorry, what did you want to ask?
and I was just wanted to say that just as a suggestion that we're gonna get into that in a moment about homeschooling, but it would be a great idea for you. Just put it out there, a suggestion for you to host a 5-day challenge, showing people how to overcome their shyness, how to get back the self-confidence and all that. That would be a phenomenal topic for a 5-day challenge. We can talk about that after, because I did my first one at the end of January, and it was a very successful way for you to really connect with exactly the audience and to get some really good clients as a result of it, because it gives you, just like when you buy a car, you want to first test drive it, you want to buy a house, you want to go see it, take a walk into it. Same thing here. 5 day are enough for you to share your story, display expertise, and also explain and give a taste of what it is working with you, and for you to earn the trust of your audience and for you to build a rapport with them. So at the end, when you make them an offer, it's a no-brainer because they only trust you. Because again, when you're selling anything high ticket, it's all about trust. It's all about rapport. For example, if I'm selling this on Amazon for $10, you don't need to know me. If you like it, you buy it. Doesn't matter who I am. But if you're trying to look at a coach and you're trying to invest anything over $1,000, then you definitely want to know the person, build that trust and all that. So just a suggestion, because that would be a phenomenal topic for you to do a 5-day challenge on helping people overcome their shyness, improve their self-worth, and regain their self-confidence so they can become the person they're truly meant to be. Seriously, that would be a phenomenal topic for you.
Yes, I hear you. Thanks for that. I did have
Okay.
challenges before. So really, I think homeschooling is almost reparenting. It's almost like taking away from a child from an environment that you cannot control. And I have to say, I think it takes work even for the parents to be mature enough to do this work. But there's also, we're coming from Australia, where I think even the law states that the number one educator for a child are the parents.
Absolutely.
Number two, if they cannot fulfill that role, is, let's say, the state school system. Where I come from, Central Europe, it's not even mentioned. We in Hungary, we wouldn't even have that option, to be honest, because the state did not ever want it to have options. They want to, as you said, payment, to tell the people what to think and how to think. And it's normally about control. And controlling really works when there is a system that is a one-way street, where you tell the people how limited they are, how hopeless their situation is, and then there is this big governmental body, or we will save you, we will tell you what to do. That's the end of a human life, because then they are all in the matrix. Did you want to comment on this?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I hear you. The first question that comes to mind for you is, how did you get into homeschooling your children, and why? Tell us the full story. Share your story. How did you get into that? How long were you thinking about homeschooling your kids versus sending them to the so-called state or even the private school system?
So it's been now 4 years, and it started with a teacher who had, this is New South Wales, Australia. There was this teacher who had anger problems, anger attacks, and a lot of kids have been exposed to this. And when I raised this with the school principal, she said, "Oh, this person, I won't mention the name, is a very reliable teacher for 20-25 years." So she didn't even investigate it. She was sort of, covering and masking it as really just not looking at it as a problem. And I know, because I'm helping with emotional breakthroughs, that I could actually help this teacher. And I knew kids were leaving school because the school did not allow kids to go into other classes. They had to go through this, like my son was called dumb because she was slow finishing some exercises. I don't know what they were. But obviously, it's a suggestible age 7, age 8. This is Mrs. whoever, teacher, I still don't want to say the name, is then telling them they are dumb over and over and again. Now, what do you think is going to happen? This child will believe it, and then there will be a life of struggle and trouble and not getting the results, because the story runs for the next 20, 30, 40 years or forever until.
Go ahead.
And then I offered my help to this teacher. And then when I realized there is no support, there is no admission, there is no revision, I said, well, if this is the school system, then we don't actually need this, because I don't think it's safe for my children. And I'm going really with mindset here. It's not safe for my kids' unconscious mind to be exposed to such experiences. So I kind of saved them. And the pandemic happened as well. Of course, then most of the kids went remote. Obviously, that was for some people a temporary thing. But we decided that with my own breakout, I was able to create a lifestyle where we could have the kids at home and work from home. And maybe that's a privilege to you as a parent, but what if? And this, my mentor has challenged me once or twice. She said, well, dad and mom needs to break out from living an average life, running after money, so then you can give a new life to your son and daughter, if that's the case.
Yeah.
So it requires you to leave a legacy, to be able to dare for your kids. That was the idea for us, and it's been happening ever since we've been traveling for the last 1.5 years. Do you want to ask something now?
Yes, I wanted to say that I want to share a story that affected me. Just like you said, kids are very suggestible to comments, compliments, or God forbid, critics, especially at a young age. I used to be growing up, I loved school. I used to be very good, always first or second in my class up until grade 6. Then in grade 6, I had a teacher that she didn't have any, anger issue, but she had, I don't know. She was a math teacher. The way she taught completely put me off from mathematics. And after that, it was very hard for me to regain. I completely lost interest in math. I completely would sleep, or when you zone out, you focus on, especially as a child, it's very easy to daydream. So what I did, And after that, it was very hard for me to regain that desire, that interest in mathematics. And after that, I was always struggling in math. I went from being top of the class math student to barely just passing the class. So that can really affect kids. That affected me. And yeah, I just wanted to share my personal experience of how comments, because education is all about psychology. Teachers need to be almost like two hats, not only teaching the subject, but also be master psychologists. They need to understand that the words they use, especially among towards children, can be extremely powerful, can be either uplifting, empowering, and inspiring, which is what we would love to, or they can be disempowering, devastating, and completely, you know, ruin them, and they can turn them off not only from the subject, but also can lead to them crush their self-esteem.
It's a very powerful share what you're telling me. I mean, I worked with probably 2 or 3 people who believed, watch this, who believed they are not able to learn because they've been penalized, they've been trodden down in school. This woman, she was 55 years old. She wanted to take a new course to start a business. And I called her, she was still telling herself that she is not able to write tests, she said, and she's not able to learn new things. And you know why she believed this? Because I found a route. Probably about, I think she said about age 9, there was a problem with her reading. And she was from Portugal, probably very traditional. And there was physical abuse. She was hit, with a stick or something. And it was so deep. She said, if she has to take an exam, it's impossible for her to learn anything because she had so much stress. Yeah. Because she has unfortunately been, what do I say? Her life was crushed at that point, and she's been carrying this burden. And she's not the only one. I come across many. And what the problem is, the subconscious mind at an early age would generalize it. So you mentioned, Payman, that you had that experience. Some people will expand this and say, well, I'm hopeless. I have a low IQ. I can't do it. And they will start to sort of generalize that belief towards everything else in their life. And that's how, a life of a loser is built, when they have given up their own power to some authority on a pedestal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen that happen to other people, even just outside of school. For example, in sports, the coach or even the senior players versus the newbie, the youngest players. Even in business, for example, let's say you're a lawyer, or you just whatever, you have the big shot lawyer, and the new guy that comes, a new girl, treats them as of a nobody, and that really can crush someone's self-belief and turn them off for good. I've seen that quite a few times.
Yes, and what comes to mind then is, and I think Ireland has been able to look at the objective of the school system. Like, they had a look at, okay, so if we have this school system, then what is the goal? Like, what do we want to achieve? And I believe they were intelligent enough to say, all right, let's run a whole research and look at who is happy, who is satisfied and empowered in their lives in that country. And they said, we want to know, how have they been brought up? What kind of schools have they been exposed to? And they started to see trends and parallels. And what they have found is, they redefined, in the first place, they redefined the goal of schooling or education. They said, well, we want to have, people who are connected to themselves, happy and satisfied with their life. Now, that's a big one, because that's never been the goal here in Central Europe. I can tell you that. But the other thing that happened, they realized that, in this kind of mainstream school systems, it was Montessori and Steiner schools, so Waldorf type of education has been able to deliver happiness.
Mhm.
And then again, it's about the human being. It's about treating them as powerful human beings who will be then brought up, nurtured, coached, and empowered to really make a difference and to be able to live a life of inspiration and contribution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you first started looking into homeschooling your kids, how long did it take you from the moment you decided to do it to actually doing it?
It took us probably about 2 or 3 months. There is an application process. There is certain things you have to create a proper learning plan, and we still do that every year or so, because in Australia specifically, it's handed over to the parents. Like, if you qualify, then that means you take over the kids' education. And we were allowed to have their learning plan. There are wonderful online platforms that you need to pay for a couple of $100 for each semester. Sometimes it's 500-600. So it will cost you. Obviously, you'll be able to save commuting time and stress to get to places and back. And we were able to add and regularly add homeschooler meetings with others, activities. Fridays were physical education for my children. And it gives you the flexibility to then, if something happens or you go and travel around, to then either delay some of the learnings, or you could teach your children from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. if that's that's the rhythm of your life, and that's how it works, because there is a total flexibility. Or you could teach them on Saturday and Sunday. It's really up to you. I believe availability is a key. So you will need to be around, look what they're doing and give them feedback and nurture them.
So once you get you get the permission and all that, the whatever you call it, the permits, do you create the curriculum yourself, or you provided the curriculum, they provided the manuals, or is it something that you go and search as long as they abide by the outline that they provide you?
There were 5 strict kind of subjects. As far as I remember, my wife was doing it. I think there was math, there was science, there was history. I think there were 2 more that kind of had to be in the learning plan. But other than that, you can chuck in everything you feel your child feels, let's say, attracted to. So other than these 5 things, you could add, for example, my son is now learning more so about social media, and he has been learning this year about how to edit my website, how to update podcasts on my website, how to fix links, how to be able to share the blog posts that I have. And I believe these are life skills. They are at times, and this digital world, this is way more important than, well, complex mathematical
or philosophy or anything, yeah, unless they want to do that. Yes, absolutely. So,
and go ahead.
and the 5 main mandatory subjects like math, English, or whatever language, history, and all that, the content, the manuals, is that something that you can choose as a parent, or the school, the education system provides you with the manuals for those 5 mandatory classes?
Well, there's so much resources online. You can download them. We decided we wanted to have let's say, a third party involved. So I think it's called EUKA, EUKA, but This, I would just want to let you know, if you're listening to us, just look at the country where you live in, because this could be somewhat different. What are the requirements, what you need to follow? But we have an online platform. It's wonderful because it tells us our progress rate. My kids are getting evaluation constantly, and we can see how they are going through those 5 subjects, which is tied to this online system. And yes, we give them printouts. We come across things that are kind of interesting, and we're challenging them with other tasks. So my ones have been working in the garden to learn about nature and life. They've been more focused on soccer sports, which they loved. They were doing Australian Ninja, which was a thing in television.
Wait, Australian Ninja? What is that? Like
Well,
Ninja?
hang on these. No. It's like it's a big competition about. It's almost like a gladiator challenge where
Ah,
people have to use these ropes and climb and get through obstacles. And you might want to look at. It's a very popular show, and it has spread to a lot of countries. I will share that under the video. But what happened was, what we found that they're getting interested in, naturally they could progress into, while catching up on morning events with other homeschoolers who are obviously looking for a community. Because it's not about, lock kids up. It's not about taking away communities. So I've been able to involve them even more. I send them to Australian Scouts, which is again like it's a wonderful organization. I believe they are teaching about life skills again. They're teaching about nature, how you could use resources, camping, hiking, survival. So I think it's a very engaging experience where even parents are, part of that that whole semester, and however you build their life. But I think the key is to make sure that they see themselves as valuable. They see that they have choice. Like, I never had that idea when I was young. They said, well, this is school. You will go 8 years for here. You need to get good grades. Then you have 4, and then you have university. So you like it or not, that's what you're going to do.
absolutely. Wow. So how difficult was it for you and your wife to make the so you mentioned time. So is it how much hour, what is the time commitment you need to put in to self teach your children? First of all, how many children are you homeschooling?
We got 2, age 10 and 14.
Okay, so I'm in terms of time commitment. So what does that require? Let's say in a specific in a given week, for example, or in a day.
Probably when my wife is teaching more the smaller one, and she could actually do the cooking or some household work while she is allocating tasks for my son. But then she shows up, she's around to support him when there is a question. So it's a bit of a parallel, not so focused at times, although there are exercises when she is absolutely present. But I would say about 2 hours highly concentrated with my son. And there are a lot of exercises where they have their own little projects. And and my kids can cook. They can cook easy dishes and take care of themselves when it comes to cleaning up around the kitchen or putting away clothes. And I have told them this, guys, you will be part of the household, and there's a lot of things to do, and we have been able to do this while you were at school, but this time there's a price to pay. So you will learn and take part and take your share of the household work and chores, and they do show up. and they've been able to contribute. And I believe these are important skills today, because they will get out there and they will need to manage their lives. They will need to, getting the bills paid. Like I think we challenge them to budget our household for the
Wow.
next few weeks, to understand that, money is not infinite, but I would love to. And there are certain numbers that we need to look at when it comes to expenses and how we spend, what we buy, what we want to eat, what are we throwing away. We have wonderful projects.
That's amazing. So you're saying you taught your two kids, one that is 14, one that is 10, how to literally run the budget for your house, for your family?
Yes, so they have an
It's amazing.
understanding. Those are not thin air. Money is actually
Sure.
coming, creating value. And I sometimes show them and share with them, how much I'm getting paid for certain projects or for work, and what that means when I go to a shopping center, when we actually buy food for a few days. So it's I believe it's getting real about life, not living in this rosy dream.
So they understand the value of money. Do you also teach them about starting their own business, encouraging them, giving them some capital to start and say, here's, for example, $1,000. Tell me your business, give me a plan. I will support you. And you need to take it in a way that this $1,000 helps you to start a business, but also to start generating revenue to self-sustain itself.
That's a great question. And this was my idea and my plan.
Mm.
And for my initiation, my son came up from a few ideas to become an influencer, start up a YouTube channel. But then I think at one point he has become uncertain about what he wants. I mean, it's fair enough. He's, 13, 14, 15 years old. So I wouldn't push this. Like, I want them to be kids. I don't want to be worrying about money and making money. It's totally, I think it's unfair. If a child is so laser focused, and then maybe they need nurturing, maybe they need coaching, of course, I guess it's time to give them mentors and support and help them run a business. But I would not recommend
I agree.
getting them out of their childhood to be so money driven. I don't think it's the
Yeah,
best approach.
I agree. Kids need to have and enjoy to the fullest their childhood and their teenage years. However, we can make the topic, the very important topic of managing money, earning money, and all that, make it like a game, because life is a game. And there are actually games. I'm sure you heard of Robert Kiyosaki. He has a board game called the what is it called for the game? I forgot the name right now. It just skips my mind.
Cash one-on-one. What is it
Yes,
called?
cash flow. What is it? Cash flow 101, something like that. You
Yeah.
know, I was actually thinking of getting that from my niece. She's gonna turn 13 this year, and my nephew, the oldest, is gonna turn 9 this year, even though the game says it's for children over 12. So I was thinking of
Yeah.
getting that for the birthday. Hey, that's a beautiful gift. There, I even saw some games on Amazon for younger kids. It's like a board game, but instead of a board game, you pretend you're running a pizza shop, something kids love doing. You know, you give some ingredients, they prepare the pizza, and then one of them is the cashier with fake money, and then run that and run the spreadsheet and profit and losses at the end of the day. It's a fun game for kids, and this was for kids over the age of 10. What are your thoughts on that? I absolutely
I,
love this idea.
I love it. And actually I bought for my kids, I bought Kiyosaki's, I think, cash flow type of game
For
for
kids.
children.
Yes.
He had signed, I think there was this, it was on a CD probably 5, 10 years ago,
Mm.
but maybe it's downloadable now. They managing I think little animals are collecting carrots or
Mm.
something like that. So they learn about managing a small animal household through the game. And of course, Clash for One-on-One is a very powerful game to learn about, to reset, I believe, someone's relationship to money, how to manage it, and how to, I believe, create financial freedom. Because I think everyone deserves to be free. And I think
Absolutely.
it's that basic human need that has not been taught in school. It has never been highlighted that it is possible, because when you want to control millions or billions of people, then you don't want to teach this with a good reason.
Yeah. And you know, it would be actually something very powerful to teach kids through games, like say the cash flow game or whatever other games, how to learn the invaluable skill of managing money, earning money, investing money, saving money, taxes, investment through those games. Because, and not only they learn that, but also they learn an even bigger lesson, which is, hey, life is a game. Learn the game, learn the rules, and play the game. Like anything. If you can learn it in a game, then this, when you become an adult, even when you're 17, 18, you can implement. Imagine how much further ahead of other kids their age they will be. It will
Oh,
be mind blowing. By the time they're
that's so
25, they will be millionaires, you know?
that's so spot on, because I believe in game theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm teaching that, every level of life and every area of your life, the current results that you have and the level of game you're playing, there are hidden keys. And if you find those hidden keys around your health, around your business, and at times it comes from mentors, it comes from coaching, it comes from getting certain experiences that you need to learn from. If you don't, well, you will keep repeating the same results. So
Yeah.
when you find those hidden keys, and at times, experts like you come in, experts like mindset experts like me come in, then there is an accelerated way of breakout to new levels of leadership, new levels
Sure.
of result, and of course, new levels of freedom.
And absolutely. And also one of the key principles that kids can learn that way is the importance of thinking outside the box and not just memorizing and repeating like a parrot, not just become a yes man or yes woman type of person, but instead thinking critically with their minds. And this is what being an entrepreneur is all about. I swear to any parent who does that. Yes, it's not easy. It's a lot easier to just send your kids off to school and then whatever happens, happens. But if you take the ownership of the education, your kids can be phenomenally successful. By the time they're 18, they will be so much more ahead of their time of other kids their age. It's going to be incredibly easy for them to succeed and become multi-millionaire and become, who knows, maybe the next Elon Musk or whatever.
That's a big one. And I wanted to share this. If you want to teach your children about anything, well, you've got to be it, you've got to live it.
Mm.
So preaching from the pedestal is not going to work. And I've been challenged by my mentor. He said, well, are you scoring goals in life, Endre? He said, well,
I
you
remember that.
must unlock your own expertise. You need to show up in your life. You need to get results and a level of freedom. Then there really isn't much to teach,
Lead by
because
example.
your life is your teaching. For
Mm.
example, for the last 1.5 years, we've been traveling around Europe, finding a new place to live, but we are not as stuck or tied to a piece of land or location. So my children, of course, this is not how my children seen it. They have seen that, oh, we're going to now travel in the Balkan, 8 countries. We will look at, ancient Greek sites. That's a different way to learn about Greek history.
Mm.
And then, we did the same in Portugal, Spain, and France. And we did make the effort to look at ancient sites, from Roman times, all of those things. But this is the surface. You want to look beneath. Like my kids' experience was that, other kids are going to schools, so sort of 8 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, while I'm here with my mom and dad. We're traveling through France and Spain and Portugal, and we're planning the days as we want to. So we do have the freedom that others don't seem to have. And that's the
Absolutely.
real teaching behind it, that, I believe when you are able to live your life on your terms, that will make a difference for your son or child. Because when there comes a boss and they said, oh, you need to do this, and now you come in and working on Saturdays and Sundays, we'll say, maybe others, not for me.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
can't, yeah.
So the obvious question, yes, there's phenomenal benefits to, you know, taking ownership of the education of your children, but at the end of each class, how does it work with exams, with them being able to go to the next level? And eventually, if those want to actually go to university and that's set on becoming something that does require, say, accreditation, like say becoming a lawyer, a doctor, or anything that requires official, credentials. How does that work in that way? How do you ensure that what's in place, that what you teach them is actually going to be recognized by the education system?
Now, that's a very valid question. And obviously, when you choose homeschooling, then you remove some of the, let's say, crap out of their lives that is, well, something that they have to learn in the mainstream, yet will not serve them. When if my kids, and again, look at, because it can be different from country to country. I'm telling you this because I understand there are exceptions in Central Europe that you allow your children to learn at home, but they have to take tests to the exact same state standards, and then you didn't save much, because now you have to do all that, squash all of that rubbish in their head to be able to pass those tests. So I don't actually believe that it makes a lot of difference, although you could eliminate those, the teachers who are actually, well, not so empowering. But then in the Australian system, and I understand this is fairly similar UK, I think in Ireland as well, they have their own learning plan. And, if it comes up that they want to become, I don't know, they want to have a legal career, they want to become a scientist, then it's on you. Then it's on you to empower them and to probably, enroll them into courses where they will gather the skills, the technical and lexical knowledge to be able to pass those tests. So, but then again, I want to stress this. If you are able to bring up empowered human beings who then figures out age 16, 18 that I want to become a lawyer, I don't think there is anything to stop that human being. Whereas at that critical age of, say, 7 to 14, if they have been squashed, disempowered, patronized, then I believe you have failed them in many ways. Because what really happens, and I see this happening over and over again, there comes this middle-age crisis where people come and see me that he says, my life is not working. I don't enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm not even getting too much recognition. I'm not even paid much. I have no freedom, and the only thing I've got is this map that I need to go back there each day to earn money to pay my bills. So there is an empty life from following the programming and the plan by the state or by the education system. So then what is worth more? What if my kids wake up at age 20, 25 and they decide to have this career, and they may have to learn and catch up on things that they haven't learned before, but by that time it's because it's their choice.
Yes.
It's a whole different game at that level. And then
Okay.
they have, I say, an intact, a well-guarded subconscious mind with not many restrictions and limitations.
Totally. Absolutely. Love that. Love that. So far, what would you say are the favorite subject of your children so far?
Well, they love sport. Like, one of them is playing tennis and soccer. The other one is doing intense soccer now, and he has now enrolled into a professional soccer school. We don't know if he's going to get in or not. He will stay to be a homeschooler and train twice a day. Probably
Wow.
that take over his life if that works. If not, we are moving to a new location, to a house where we will have probably an organic farm. So they will be involved in chopping wood, because we will use wood as well for heating, and live and a more nature-based and cycled life. That's what the next sort of 3-5 years is about for
Wow.
us. And I'm not saying this is the holy grail, because it's not. It's just how we have decided to change our lives now. And my job as a parent, and this is a big one, is to keep that unconditional love towards
Mhm.
my children. And it is possible that one day I need to face the fact that they have not been prepared to become a doctor or to become a lawyer. Then I will be behind them to nurture them, to help them to get ready for that profession. It is possible, but when you set an example of freedom, creating massive value in other people's lives, I'm not too sure if they would still choose going to a workplace later on for the next 20, 30, 40 years. But I'm not against that. But I believe their life, and I believe this is for everyone. If you're able to find your authentic self, and this is a lot to do with self-worth, then what if there is something in this world that is missing, and you could provide exactly that with your life experience, with maybe your pains and struggles that you went through? What if that creates a product, or that creates a service that no one else could do at a level you do, and you can set your prices?
Totally. That's what every coach, every professional, every business should be striving to reach that.
I agree. And then
Awesome.
no box. You don't need to fit in anymore.
No.
Then build your own brand. I'm not saying it's easy. I can say it's just possible. And you will have so much fun. You could even play like us here on this beautiful call. We connect, we have a conversation, and we hope to create massive value for people to really think about their life, their children, and their legacy.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that. Listen, we can continue this conversation, but let's start wrapping this up. To any parent who's considering homeschooling their kids, what advice would you give them, and where can they start? Where is the first place they should start looking into?
I would probably suggest you to look at groups, and specifically maybe Facebook groups, online communities and blogs, because in your country, there are usually plenty of parents who have gone through the same process, and find out about requirements, whether it's possible, how much you need to pay if that's the case, what are the rules around curriculum and taking tests and all of those things. So you're not sort of rushing into, situations that you have not prepared for and you have not researched, because I think you and your children deserve some sort of certainty, even if you want to leave the school system. And then the other option could be, and this is sort of a middle way, is look at, you know, Waldorf type of education, or Montessori. That look at wonderful alternative ways now, I believe, to educate children through, you know, forest schools, and there's more and more, you know, outside mainstream options to be able to nurture children in a way that I think.
Wow. Beautiful. Love that. If someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Well, the easiest way is just to look at my website, drofselfworth.com, and you find me on social media as well, hashtag Dr. of Self-Worth, and then just drop me a message, or if you want, just book in a small conversation, and I'll try my best to help you. Thanks very much.
Pleasure on mine. Listen, absolutely love listening to your expertise, to your stories, to your inspiration. This was very informative for me, even though I don't have kids yet, but I know for sure, especially given how the education system is in Canada. I'm not in Canada anymore, but if I were in Canada, this is what I would recommend to any parent who wants to really control and know and ensure that their kids are going to get proper education and not being brainwashed into all this nonsense and degenerate policy they're trying to poison the minds of kids right now in Canada and most of the Western world. So listen, I salute you. You're a cheerleader with a heart. I love having you on the podcast, sharing your story. This is, I don't know, episode 5 or 6 we're doing together. And we're going to do a few more. It's because you have so much value, wisdom, and to share, and you've been blessed with incredible gifts. So I salute you, Endre. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world, your presence, your impact with everything. Stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, and talk to you very soon, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. I loved being with you again. I love you. And yeah, good message. Thanks very much.
Very welcome. Take care, brother. Cheers. Bye-bye.